But West Virginia, first of all, who's starting for them? Just break the news for us now and put it out, because everything I'm reading is leaning one way, but still says it's open. And then once we have that answer, how effective will West Virginia be at that position this year?
Yeah, I think that we've pretty much determined that the quarterback competition is going to come down to Nicco Marchiol and not Jaylen Henderson. Now, can Jaylen Henderson or Max Brown come in, or Khalil Wilkins find a spot here? Possibly. And the schedule allows for the Mountaineers, who open up with an FCS opponent, to go out, trot out Nicco Marchiol, who has the most experience at the school, have him out there and beat up on Robert Morris for a quarter and a half, and then say, okay, what else do we have in the chamber here, while Robert Morris still has their first string out there. But the best part of this entire quarterback battle in the offseason is Rich Rodriguez being the gem of the Big 12. He's my new favorite coach in the Big 12 back in this conference. I guess he's back at West Virginia, and they weren't in the conference at the time, but he's in the league officially. He's in a press conference, and he's telling the media, he's like, man, I'll hold my play card in front of my face a little bit sometimes when I'm saying those naughty words, those bad words. And the paper he used as an example to hold in front of his face in the press conference was the depth chart. Just as clear as could be, he holds it up in front of his face, and all of America can see, Nicco Marchiol is quarterback one. Now, there were some things that West Virginia is able to do to put out the fire, and he's still like, we're in a quarterback battle, and there's competition, and there is. But most of us can agree now, Nicco Marchiol is the guy. There will be some West Virginia fans who say, that's a bad move. That's a guy from last year. That's Neil Brown's guy. Are we going to be able to win with him? And those are very valid questions. By the way, anytime there's a change of the guard with the head coach, you want a new quarterback, you want a new running back, you want everything to be kind of brand new, so you can root for these things that don't have ties to the old head coach. And I would understand that, because that's just kind of how we are in the football world. And without Garrett Green, Nicco Marchiol gives you a lot. 19 career appearances. He has thrown 122 passes in college football at the Power 5 level. 8 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Those aren't sexy, but 285 on the ground, 3 touchdowns on the ground. He has 3 starts, and they had results. They found ways to win in those 3 games. He's got the respect of staying around. He's got the respect from a hard-nosed guy like Rich Rodriguez. And I can guarantee this: it is way harder to play college football for Rich Rodriguez than it is for Neil Brown. That's all that we've heard out of that camp, is just how intense Rich Rod is. Now, he's looked across the room and told all the kids, hey, the transfer portal will go replace you if you're not going to put forth effort. And the running backs not being able to finish their workouts because they're so intense. This is what college football is supposed to be. If you are soft, it's not going to work. And the fact that you're redshirt junior, who is at A&M, your redshirt junior who's beating out a guy from A&M, formerly Jaylen Henderson, who's a redshirt senior, that goes a long way to me. Rich Rod is not going to play Nicco Marchiol just because he represents the guys in blue. He's going to play the best quarterback. And if right now Jaylen Henderson or Max Brown is a redshirt junior from Florida, if both those guys pale in comparison to Nicco Marchiol, it's not politics. It's not because Rich Rod just, we have to start the guy who's been here. It's more so because he's the best quarterback in that room. Will Jaylen Henderson be used? I'm sure. Garrett Green is going to be an NFL wide receiver who has been very good in the fall for the NFL and during preseason. Could you see Jaylen Henderson, Max Brown, even Nicco Marchiol at times in a different position, a different spot, playing football in a way that is Pat White? Pat White wasn't always supposed to be a quarterback of West Virginia. It was the idea that Rich Rod said, hey, you're going to be our QB, and he becomes this legend for the Mountaineers. That's what I think we'll see out of this quarterback battle in the end, is that Nicco Marchiol will be the starter. You're going to see them used in multiple ways in multiple packages. This is going to be a very unique and creative football season for West Virginia.
How effective do you think he'll be? Like, is the quarterback battle, it's 2 sides of the coin, right? Is it, hey, the competition is really close, and so, all these guys are pushing each other up, or nobody's good, and so nobody separated themselves, right? Like 2 sides of one coin. There's maybe truth in the middle of all of that. But thoughts on his effectiveness this year, the support around him. You mentioned Green going to the NFL. What are your thoughts on what that will actually look like week 1 through 12 for West Virginia.
Yeah, Scotty Fox Jr. is a freshman who comes in and could be the guy in a couple of years. Khalil Wilkins, I mentioned earlier. The issue would be if Wilkins and Fox were competing for the starting quarterback job at West Virginia. If we said there's Marchiol, Wilkins, and Fox, you say, well, shoot, one's a redshirt junior, the other two are freshmen. And you tell me it's a quarterback battle? That doesn't breed this epic competition that the guys are really fighting day in and day out. What that tells me is Nicco Marchiol is not ready. That isn't the situation we have. We have a redshirt junior facing Jaylen Henderson, who again is a redshirt senior who played at Texas A&M and Fresno State, a blue chip coming out of high school, and then Max Brown, a redshirt junior out of Florida. Those are two SEC schools. Those are two 23-year-old guys who played in the SEC against Nicco Marchiol, who is the redshirt junior who's been playing at West Virginia. That shows me those guys, I told you, redshirt senior, we're running out of eligibility. If anybody's competing at the max to win, it's the guy who's old, the guy who's got to get it in right now. Otherwise, if he doesn't play like Spencer Sanders at Ole Miss, if he doesn't play, his career's done, goes out on a sour note. That's why I think there's a pure competition, because I know a guy like that is fighting tooth and nail. And if he's fighting tooth and nail and Nicco Marchiol is still beating him out, that means Marchiol is doing the exact same thing and is probably the best option for West Virginia. This screams legitimate battle where everyone's getting better, as opposed to, we just can't figure it out. Similar to some battles we've seen at Oklahoma State here recently where it's been quarterback by committee. If you have two, what is it, TJ? If you have two quarterbacks, none. If you have three, you have -1. I think West Virginia has 5 right now, but only one of them is going to be the true guy, and that's where they'll get away with a pretty successful season. I mentioned Robert Morris, then the game against Ohio. They get Pitt at home, then they play Kansas and Utah, a couple teams that missed bowl games last year. That's not the toughest first 5. Kansas and Utah could be good, but again, 5-7 last season for both those squads. That first 5 games could set up West Virginia for an 8-4, 9-3 season.
How's the help around him? The quarterback's best friend is probably a run game and a defense, but offensively, what do you think about the line there protecting Nicco or whomever it will be, but we'll assume Nicco at this point, based on Drake C. told on Locked On Big 12 and College Football Addiction. Run game and offensive line for West Virginia this year.
The number 2 running back room in the conference, according to Pick 6 previews. So that's going to be massive. Now that their receiver room still has a lot to be desired. 13th in the country, and their offensive line is 13th in the conference, I should say, and their 15th ranked offensive line in the Big 12 per Pick 6 previews isn't great. It's their defense I have more questions over. The O-line and the D-line both are going to be on the bottom half of the Big 12, just based on we don't know a ton yet. They can be good. They had a couple guys that applied for early eligibility at West Virginia as well. They can be very strong. That's where I get a bit bent out of shape, is the trenches. But I look at BYU last year, who shocked the conference, or Arizona State. Their O-lines, their D-lines were at that 10, 12, 14 spot in the preseason projections. Both those schools vied for Big 12 titles.
Drake, I appreciate you for hanging out. Give me a win total for West Virginia before we go real quick.
I'm going to go 8. I'm going to go 8 here. I think they lose some games where you say, what? You're an 8-win team. That was really stupid. How did you lose that? And they lose. They win some games. They lose some games where you go, that's the ultimate Big 12. Last year, we saw this a bit out of TCU, who would go in and beat a top team in the conference, and then they would lose TCU or Kansas either, and then they would lose, in the case of the Horned Frogs, to a Houston. You say, well, that was really stupid. West Virginia could be that for you this year. I think they can get to the 8-win threshold because I have so much faith in Rich Rodriguez in year number 1 back in his old office. But their schedule's brutal. They do have TCU. They have Houston on the road, who I see has improved. Arizona State is on the road. Texas Tech is in there. BYU is on the road. Utah, Kansas. It's going to be very, very hard. But 8 wins in this 2025 stretch, 8 wins is massive for that program if they get there.
Drake, where can people follow you? Where can they get more of your content, your work?
At Locked On Big 12 on Twitter, wherever you find your podcast, with Locked On Big 12 as well as YouTube, and at Drake C. Toll as well.
Appreciate it. I see my guy, Grape T News, in the comments. Thanks for hanging out today. Make sure you guys are subscribed. We will talk to you soon, about a week from now, and a couple of Big 12 games this weekend. Can't wait to see it. Thanks, Drake.